Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about having the zodiac sign Cancer on the third house cusp in a natal horoscope. Now, the third house in astrology, well, it governs communications, siblings, short journeys, early education, neighbors, transportation, and assimilating information. Now, the sign on the cusp of the house can give characteristics to that house, qualities to the manner of communication, and other things that are pertaining to the third house. Now, planets in the third house can flavor the house. Now, also, the house where the ruler of the third house is may show the sector of life where the third house energy is injected into, so to speak. And we'll look at also what's important is, especially if your third house is vacant or empty, transits and progressions can be important because it could indicate more activity during that period where the transits and progressions in that third house are taking place, and more activity in connection with matters pertaining to the third house. So anyway, people, first thing is with Cancer on the third house cusp, I think the obvious thing is that there can be a lot of sensitivity in matters pertaining to their communication, and this person may be a little bit more sensitive to ridicule or judgmental statements, more so than the average person, because the sign Cancer is obviously very sensitive. There may be an emotional quality to the communication. The person may not always handle things that are said to them in the most rational manner. I mean, I may know because I have Cancer on the third house cusp in my natal chart. I think if you have, say, Gemini rising as opposed to Taurus rising, person could probably deal with it a little better, because obviously Gemini is a more objective sign, I would say, as opposed to Taurus. So that's something to consider. Now, also, this person that has this placement may show a very nurturing and sympathetic manner towards siblings, if applicable. I wouldn't know because I don't have any brothers or sisters. Their communications, they may feel, as far as people that they communicate with, they may feel more comfortable with people that are either family members or people that, let's say, are like simulated family members, people that they feel they can relate to very strongly and have a good rapport with, which would be similar to a family member. Now, having Cancer on the sign of the third house cusp can also show those motherly, nurturing qualities toward their neighbors. They may have there might be some tendency or proclivity to perhaps show some kind of care or support toward them, more so than the average third house placement. I think I know one time I had a friend that has Cancer on the cusp of the third house, and he saw somebody playing ring and run on somebody's door in his neighborhood, and he said he went over there and he confronted the people that were doing it, and he said, go over there and apologize to those people that you played ring and run on. So there's kind of like that sympathetic quality and protective quality that comes as far as protecting their neighbors, I think, with this position. Now, there's also, look at this, and the third house rules short journeys. Now, this person that has this placement may take I guess you could say, their short trips, their short journeys, perhaps in matters in connection with their family very prominently, or places that they feel like at home or they feel comfortable with. So I think that's something to look at with this position. Now, during the early education, this person may not always have done exceptionally well, perhaps due to maybe being a little bit temperamental or moody in connection with their early education, or maybe there might have been some distraction, maybe by criticism from other people or their contemporaries, maybe some schoolmates, and maybe they just weren't, the person that has this may have maybe been a little bit more maybe emotional as far as in their maybe taking things to heart just too strongly, maybe from classmates, for example. May have been some kind of distraction with that, or just maybe had, like I stated before, the temperamental moody thing might have played some role, and maybe not as far as really fulfilling what they necessarily wanted to do in terms of what they wanted to accomplish in their early education. Now, I think as life progresses after that, the person with this may do better through progressions, because at some point, assuming the person that most people will live to see their third house cusp progress from Cancer into Leo and then into Virgo. When it goes into Virgo especially, the person might be very analytical in their communications, and so that could be something that, to look at with this position. Now, another thing too is that we look at the third house, and this has to do with transportation as well. And I was telling you before about that friend I had that had he had Cancer on the cusp of the third house, and he showed a very nurturing quality towards some things connected with transportation. I think he used to work on vehicles a lot at his own home, and mainly, I believe, his own cars. And I think showing love toward his vehicles, that probably would be a vast understatement. He had Gemini rising, so obviously he was using that dexterity and being able to work mechanically. He had very good mechanical knowledge, and I guess he incorporated that with that compassion he was showing for his vehicles. So that's something to look at too, as far as this position may go. And the last thing I'll look at as far as the communication again is that this person just needs to be careful not to be too irrational in communications, and not to take certain things to heart and too seriously or personally, because sometimes people, it could just be about constructive criticism as opposed to a remark that's really derogatory or insulting. I should know because as I stated before, I have Cancer on the cusp of the third house, and I've reacted from time to time, maybe more sensitive in manner in connection with my communications perhaps than I should have. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for having the zodiac sign Cancer on the third house cusp in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about having Leo on the third house cusp in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.